Hey everybody, if you love combat sports such as MMA, Kyokushin, boxing, BJJ, etc., make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and comment button on the Drewsperience channel, the show that's 80% combat sports and 20% everything else. Thank you to the supporters of Martial Way Blog, One Kyokushin, KRT Tips and Tricks, and Real Talk that the Martial Way hosts with Shihan Terry Burkett. These 3 pages, I work together with them in order to grow Kyokushin Karate. So no matter the association or level you are in Kyokushin, if you have content to share to grow Kyokushin Karate, make sure to like and message us, and we'll do what we can to help your page or pages grow. Also, thank you to the supporter Moments Management. If you're an up-and-coming fighter, especially in my Kyokushin crowd, if you're looking to go professional, finding a good manager is very hard. Luckily, there's Moments Management, where Nima Safapur and his team will make sure you understand what you're getting into with pro fighting and that you are educated for before, during, and after, so you leave healthy and wealthy. Moments Management, where quality and care come first. And also, if you're in Quebec, you want to take up martial arts and you want to get into Kyokushin, I always recommend Kyokushin Boucherville with Shihan Pierre Catafort and his amazing team of other senseis in Shihan, such as Sensei Joanne Fournier, amongst others, and Aikyo Nakamura. If you're looking to learn new habits, discover a tradition with martial arts, make sure to check them out. Aikyo Nakamura. If you're looking to take your health into your hands and develop good habits and discover a vast new community and make new friendships, they are the ones to look forward to. And with that, we'll get to our guest. Hey everyone, this is the Drewsperience, the show that's 80% combat sports and 20% everything else. Tonight's guest is a big legend in the Kyokushin scene. I've waited a long time to do this, and we finally agreed to do it. So I have to have a list of accolades for this man here. He is a Shihan, but not only is he a Shihan, he's an entrepreneur, being an author of not 1 but 2 books. I have one here, The Young Lions. My bad, excuse me for that. He's also done a documentary on the 100-man kumite. He runs a Chikara dojo in Australia. He's also ran it in Thailand too before coming back. Inspiration for many. He's sought out for his work in Kyokushin. He is the one, the only Shihan Judd Reid. Welcome to the show, Shihan Judd.
Wow. Oh, thank you for having me on your show, Drew Michaels. What an intro. You're the man, mate. You're an absolute champion. Thank you so much for those kind words. And yeah, you're pumping it right up. But no, thank you for your time, and it's great to be on your show, mate.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time. Every time we had dialogue, it'd be like we had to push it, and then I think what happened was when I had Nicholas on, Sensei Nick. I think that's when you probably saw it, and then that's when I guess the timing was right.
That's it. Everyone's like also the other side of the planet. There, we're all busy, so no, it's good. So yeah, mate, let's have a good chit chat.
Yeah, for sure. So Shihan, we all know who you are as a Shihan. The book says itself, but I don't want to go off on tangents with the book. So I want to hear it from you so people can understand who was Shihan Judd before becoming Shihan, and how did you discover and fall in love with Kyokushin as a young Judd Reid?
Oh, okay. Well, Shihan Judd is always just Judd Reid. Yeah, just well, I guess I started karate when I was 12 years of age, and like young most kids at that time, we watched Bruce Lee movies and inspired by that. So that's really how it all began. Yeah, just watching Bruce Lee movies and having a lot of energy, and as a young kid, and perhaps getting in a few fights at school, and I think, right, that's it. I want to, stand up to myself and just, and all those things. So that's really what got me inspired. Literally, was the Bruce Lee movies. The first dojo I walked into happened to be a Kyokushin school. So really, it was just by chance. Actually, my mum actually had looked through the yellow pages for a martial arts school, and the Kyokushin school came up. So I was really through that, just looking through the magazine. And I just literally fell in love with Kyokushin the very first class. I was in there, was very demanding, lots of kicks, lots of high volume training, lots of discipline, push-ups, sit-ups on the old wooden dojo floor in those days, where we would train out of a hall. And it was great. Had Shihan Eddie there. Later on became obviously, my first teacher. So just and I just loved it. Yeah, I just loved Kyokushin straight away. It was for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Did a lot of puking nights too because of all the push-ups and sit-ups?
There's a bit of skin off the knuckles. Yeah, a bit of skin off the knuckles and a lot of body ache. But yeah, I mean, I used to play football, a team sport, and I just felt that sometimes you play your best and the team would lose. And I was just like, I don't know, just kind of like, I like the individual sports. That's why I ended up playing a little bit of golf as well. Actually, I played a lot of golf. So I just like to really rely on yourself. And Kyokushin Karate, even though it's you fight by yourself, but also you represent many people while you fight. I just like that the responsibility falls on you, falls on your shoulders. How you perform, it's at the end of the day, it's up to you. So I like that. I like that aspect of karate too.
That's amazing. I love it. And and I apologize, by the way, because I forgot to mention in the intro that you were the last of the Uchi Deshi with Sensei Nick. I feel I'm terrible. I'm sorry, Shihan.
No, Drew, you're awesome, mate. Well, we're going back 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have, and sometimes when you're saying things, I'm actually like, oh yeah, that's right.
Perfect. You can't.
You're probably jolting my memory as well.
Exactly. So, you became, but before you became Uchi Deshi, this is what I loved in the book. So when I look at the young lines here, so for those who want to get it, it's on Amazon, free ad read for you to make sure it's a great read, by the way, because it's in Shihan Judd's words. And so to become Uchi Deshi, when you found out about it, you saved money working as a stock trader. What did that experience teach you about being wise with money?
I'm not wise with money, Drew. Trust me. Really. Yes. Well, so when I was accepted to be Ushideshi, I had to raise money to go to Japan, and I was a chalky. Which a chalky is someone back in the stock market. They write the prices on the board. Now they use multi-billion-dollar computers. It's all, to do that. So everything back then was by chalk. So that's really what it was. I actually loved that job. It got me extremely pumped. You had a lot of responsibility with people yelling at different prices. But it didn't teach me anything about money or anything like that. No. I just loved the work. It was a great opportunity as a young kid to make a little bit of money and put that aside for Japan. Yeah.
So was the schedule so basically it was sleep, work, train, repeat. Is that what it was?
In the Uchideshi program?
No, before during when you were a chalky. So was it like
when I was a chalky? No, when I was a chalky, it was at the stock market, it was a 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. I had just finished school. I didn't actually complete HSC. I finished year 11. So I was a chalky for like a year and a half, just saving up money to go to Japan. So that was just a normal job, really. So I'd go there, work, and then after that, I would head off to training after that as a young kid. That was pretty much it. Yeah, at a young age.
It's amazing, what you talk about, because you said in the chat that period of some of the friendships you made, and you said some of what we think is a dead end job 9 to 5, you meet some of the most amazing people in those environments.
Well, exactly. I mean, especially that stock market, when I joined, I think it was 1988, and I think the crash was in 87. So the stock market was very versatile back then, and there was a lot of uncertainty what would happen. So it was a very interesting time to work there. And absolutely, you meet a lot of interesting characters in that work. If I hadn't gone to Japan, I would have definitely been a stockbroker, would have lived in a big house, a sports car, and would have kept my girlfriend. So I gave all that up. But that's life, yeah. That's the interesting turns that have in life. Could have gone that way, could have got that way, but my whole reason for being in the stock market as a chalky was to save up money and to go to Japan. That was it. I wasn't looking for it as a career job, but it had the potential to be an absolute career job.
What I love, what I love too, is how you always kept writing out in your journal, I will meet Sosai Mas Oyama. I will go to Japan. And just putting that goal into writing. Do you feel that, because there's something about, they say psychologically, when you write the goal down, it helps you stay focused.
Yes, I think so. These days everyone has computers and they type things out. I think that can be a little bit the same, but I think physically, if you have a diary, writing things down like that, it just plants that seed deeper in your mind that you must get that done. And if you're writing that continuously and almost being obsessive about it, which is not a bad thing, why can't it come true? If you're driven, you give it a crack and you don't give up, why can it not come true? And you know, we're being obsessive and having that determination to see it through. You will make it happen, right? I
Right.
think so. You will make it happen. You will make sure that you have the contacts to make it happen. I don't want to sound philosophical and preach, but you will make it happen. You'll open up opportunities for you to do it. So yeah, pen or pencil on paper
Uh-huh.
has a lot of volume, and yeah, you can create things. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, perfect. I totally agree. So now you go to Japan and you're in Uchideshi, and it was like a military camp because of you were a foreigner, and then it was the other students there too, and the dropout rate was extremely high for those because they couldn't keep up with the intensity. But you met a certain person, and he would become an important, I would say, a friend based on how you describe him, and it seems like you guys really executed on iron sharpens iron. Tell me, how did meeting Nick Pettis impact your experience in Ushideshi?
Yes, absolutely. Nick arrived in my second year, and he had a huge impact on my experience there as Uchideshi. Such a lovable kid, full of enthusiasm, determination. He had a lot of grit when he trained. He'd always give it his best, and he was just a super nice guy, an easy person to get along with. And being an Uchideshi, you needed that because literally you'd be spending pretty much 24/7 with them. During training times, we're sleeping side by side during that time. So to have a companion there who was driven and had similar thoughts, had similar thoughts, and I guess like that word again, driven like you as well, that made your journey they're very interesting, and it made it a great experience because you both were on that same page. You both wanted to do things. You wanted to get as strong as possible, and that's what we were both there for. Before class, I remember we'd go in there, we'd be like, right, let's give it all we got. It was not like, oh, got to get this class done. No, it was like, right, let's get stronger. Let's punch it out with these guys, and that's how it was with Nick in particular. When we trained together, we were really looking to take that bar higher each time. You must remember, we were young kids, 19, 20. Nick was 1 year younger than me, 18 years old. So to be like that, and I think that's what you need to be if you want to, I guess, not survive the Uchideshi program, the wrong word, but to fulfill it, to do it correctly, you must be that way. You must be very driven, very, very driven.
One thing I liked too about during the Uchideshi was when Sosai recognized your work ethic and Nicholas's work ethic during some of the tournaments, or I guess inner tournaments of Uchideshi. There's one part where you talk about where Sosai tells Nick famously, Nicholas, if you beat this one fighter using, if I recall correctly, a certain technique that I know you're capable of, I'll give you your third dan on the spot. And so was Sosai known for like enticing the students when he recognized that if they really applied themselves, that he'll kind of, I guess, give them an extra reward for their efforts?
Yes, absolutely. With that, I think it was with Nicholas when he was going for his shoulder grading, he needed to get a certain amount of ippon and Sosai actually said to him, right, if you get this amount of ippon, I'm going to give you your third dan. And he was actually looking that way. He was going ippon, wasari. And that's when I think Sosai actually had stopped the proceedings of grading and said, right, if you keep going, a few more, I'm going to give you your third dan. And I'm not sure whether he mentioned actually particular technique you had to use, but Sosai was very much that way. Absolutely. If he would be very proud of you and say, and who's going to go against Sosai? You must respect his word, and always would be looking to bring the challenge up and bring the best out of you. Nick didn't end up doing that, but he got very close. He would have gone from brown belt to third dan. So the next chart, I think then a few more, he said, right, get your second dan, but he just fell short, literally, and he got his show dan in flying colors. Yeah, but he was very close to doing that. He would have been the youngest third dan on the planet, 18 years old.
Yeah. Well, listen, at the end, we'll look based on how you describe it. It seems that he was so devoted because you guys also, and this leads to my next question, you got like both of you and Nick talk about, having a lack of a father figure. Nicholas lost his dad at a young age. You have your experience with yours. So describe to me the relationship that, like, the void that Sosai kind of fixed, if anything, because he was always there for you and him.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Sosai was like a father figure to both of us. Nick, growing up without his father at a young age, myself having similar story to that. So Sosai would always say as well, we're his children, we're his boys.
Mm-hmm.
He would always say that about all the Uchideshis, not just the foreign Uchideshis, but of course the Japanese Uchideshis as well.
Mm-hmm.
He would say, they're my boys, you're my boys. And so you hearing these things, and of course, Sosai, seeing him every day, you know, the reason why you are in Japan is because of Sosai. Mm-hmm. We're there because of Sosai. And so we looked at him as a father. He would encourage us. He would always talk to us like we were his sons. But also there was, of course, that side to him where he was very open-hearted and you could see his beautiful personality, but also was that strictness where, come on, guys, I expect you to step up here. And that's what fathers do. Fathers have on their children is that different sides of their character to get the best out of you, to be, to be a supportive father. So he was very much that way. We looked at him, we looked up at him as a father.
That's amazing. And there's even times where you almost talk about getting expelled from Uchideshi because you met some interesting characters, some Israeli Uchideshis who were teaching you about the ways of street business. And what was that experience like? Was there a fear thinking, man, I'm that's it, like I'm done? Because all I was trying to do is just trying to make a little extra money selling some like purses or jewelry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. They weren't Israeli Uchideshis, actually. They were just outside students.
Okay.
Who were, because it was only myself, Nicholas at that time, that particular time in that story, there was just myself and Nicholas only as Uchideshis at that particular time. That was during my third time as Uchideshi. So when you're as a third year student, I'm the senpai. I'm the senior senpai in the dormitory. So there's no one overlooking me, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So as a senpai of the dormitory, you're also allowed to have off. You can roam freely in and out of the dojo. I can go to the shops. I can go there without asking permission. I can do anything I want to do, pretty much. You're running classes at the Honbu dojo. It's almost like it's a great time to be Uchideshi. Mm-hmm. You do have a lot of responsibilities in taking classes and trying to guide your juniors underneath you, but you don't have the pressure of your seniors going, what are you doing? Where are you going? And as a junior, as a kai, you're always looking around. So I was a senior there, and I had free time up my sleeve. And Nick was a second Uchideshi, so he had time up his sleeve as well. So what we would do was a couple of times a week, between sessions, we went and sold at that particular time was like Louis Vuitton bags for these Israeli guys who would sell copies of his. I talk about it in the book. I was very honest about it, and it was just a bit of the part of the story that I had to put in. I feel to show that we're not all perfect. We make mistakes in life, and this is what it is. So yeah, we did that a few times a week to make an extra bit of cash. And really, what it was all about was so we could eat a little bit better, because we were a little bit tired of the Honbu food, of the Uchideshi food. It was very repetitive, and we literally wanted to be able to go to the Italian restaurant down the road and pig out and have an ice cream and buy maybe a T-shirt or do this or buy a new pair of runners to run. And that's really what the reason was for. So we didn't really think, we weren't really too nervous about getting caught, because we didn't really think anything was too bad about it, to tell you the truth. You must remember, we're young, naive kids, where this is all we knew was, as finishing school, okay, went to the stock market, but straight into the dormitory, we didn't really have too many other worldly experiences. So this was just, and being Uchideshi, you're just consumed in your own little world there. So for us to take a few hours out a couple of times a week, for us, to tell you the truth, I didn't think too badly of it. But obviously I talk about in the book where the police come to the dojo and say, right, Judd Reid, come with us. And then obviously, that all came down when I'm at the police station. Of course, Sosai knew about what had happened. And then it all came down on me like, okay, now I'm in a bit of trouble. Later on, I found out that Sosai was actually calling up the police station pretty often, every hour or so, trying to get me out of the police station. Wow. He wanted me back in the dormitory. He used his his power, his influence, his if not for Sosa, I believe I would have spent maybe a little bit of time in jail, as did the Israeli guys who were doing this business. But we were just a small workers on the side. So it was a really bad choice. Yes. Sosa made me write a letter. He was very disappointed in me, actually. Of course he was. But he made me write a letter, and he said, Judd, I want you to write down why did you come to Japan? Why are you here? You know, what made you, why are you here, Japan? Why do you want to be Ushideshi? So I wrote in great detail, and one of the Ushideshi Japanese helped me write this letter out, and I just explained to him that was kind of like to get back into the good books of Sosa. I had to explain myself.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was that experience, which was pretty full on. Yeah.
Perfect. That's amazing. Well, look, we're all human. You know, I'm human too. I make plenty of mistakes too, and you just, you know, as the Kyokushin way goes, you power on. You find a way to power on, and you can't let it get to you. You can't let it eat you, because
well, let me just expand on that story a little bit. Yeah, 100%. Sosa was just, and I remember I was standing in his office, and he called up the dormitory senpai, which was Minami senpai, who was supposed to overlook all of us. And he brought him up, and we were both standing in front of him. And he said to Minami senpai, he said to him, I can't blame Judd for what he did. I mean, he's a young kid. He's a strong kid. He wants to get out to the world and experience a few different things. You know, maybe even, I think he even said, you know, he wants to have some girlfriends. He goes, I can't blame him for that. That's just natural to be that way. And he actually scolded Minami. He said, you should have more control on them. You should be, you know, looking at that to do what they're doing, and have more control. And he actually scolded him more than he did me. And I felt really bad for Minami. I felt really, really bad for Minami. But this is the Japanese way. They would look for the senpais in senpai, your senpai, to control you, and they will give them grief for not being able to control you. This is the Japanese way. Yeah, they won't. So that was a little bit of a lesson as well. And I really apologized to Minami senpai, saying, sorry, I'm sorry I did this and such, you know, and that was that story. Yeah, but it was just interesting that Sosa blame Minami just as much as I did. Just saying, no, I can't blame the young kid, but that was a valuable lesson I learned that day.
That's amazing. Take it to the next question. So now, on a positive note, when Uchi Deshi concluded, you know, looking back, you and Nicholas are the last to do Uchi Deshi while Sosai was alive. So what did it feel like to so this is a two-part question. Yes. How did it feel when you accomplished it? But then now, as you look back in your today, what does it mean that you were the last to do it when he was alive?
So it was my dream come true. So to have my dream come true and to complete the course, I was absolutely over the world, elated. I was extremely happy and proud of, like, I've come to do what I did. I did what I'd come to do. So it was an extremely incredible time to graduate from a Ushideshi program. And I went to Sweden about 10 days after my graduation. After the graduation, actually, I did my third day grading first, which was a week late, which was about a week after the graduation. And then 5 days later, I went to Sweden. I really needed to leave to Japan just to experience something new in life. So for me to graduate and then to go to Sweden to be able to teach karate around Sweden was a wonderful experience. At the same time, saying that though, that when I was in Sweden, when I first went there, I was very I was in a house in the basement of the house. And I arrived there middle of March, which was wintertime in Sweden. So there was all snow outside. And I remember thinking to myself, Judd, you've made a big mistake. You should have probably stayed in Japan again. And I actually felt that Sosai wanted me probably to stay in Japan again, to just do another year Uchideshi. I felt that, but I needed to leave Japan. I needed to try to get out in the world and experience and have a new experience in life. So saying that though, when I was in Sweden, I really missed my Uchideshi brothers. I was there alone in the basement by myself, cold, lonely, thinking to myself, Judd, you've made a big mistake. So it was actually even though I wanted that, I thought to myself, no, I want to be back with my Uchideshi brothers. So it's always, that's how things are in life, aren't they? When you're there, you don't realize how wonderful it is. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, let's get out and explore. But when you go to do that, you're thinking to yourself, no, I want to go back home. So that was and that just shows you that it was a huge part of my life. And just to suddenly stop being an Uchideshi and to be in a new environment, it was a huge shock to the system. It was a huge shock to the system. And and that just showed I really loved my time in Japan. And I still look back on it fondly. For me, it's easy to talk about my Uchideshi experience because it was such a wonderful memory. Even though it was such a long time ago, all that comes back is this incredible experience. Nothing bad to say about it, just a wonderful experience. And if anyone can live their dream, then good for them. Yeah. So that's how I like to put it.
So true. I agree with everything you said there. And it's tough because it's like, for example, I mean, the show's about you more than me, but I know what you mean. Like, sometimes like when I was done training, where a tough training, like all the way down in Boucherville, where I trained with Shihan Pierre Cataford, it's like, I want to go back to training. It's like, I don't like, because I live far away from the dojo, but I want to be there. When I'm done a tournament, it's like, okay, you got a time to relax, but I want to get back in the gym and be with all my training brothers, basically.
Yes. And people always say, "Oh, the good old days," and then when they get older, the good old days comes again. These are the good old days right now that we're living. If you're living your dream and you love what you're doing, these are good old days. Don't worry about the past. What you do right now is what matters. Because 30 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to talk about this experience. So if you love what you're doing right now, which you should be doing, should love what you're doing, go with it. Channel that energy into what you're doing and just love every moment of it.
I love what I totally love what I do. It's like, I mean, I get to talk to someone like you of your stature, which is a huge honor, or I get to talk to those who are in like MMA, like UFC. I love what I do. And it's because it's like every time it's like, I get a big guest and it makes me want to raise the bar. And I got to say, looking back, man, it's like I spoke to, like, say, for example, Iwerton Teixeira. Like, I was the first person to get him on and to speak in English.
I saw that interview. Yeah, I saw that. That was a great interview, by the way, too. I really enjoyed that interview. Good on you. Yeah, fantastic.
I wanted.
You're doing what you love to do, Drew. You're putting it out there, and you're making it happen. And you love your questions. That's good.
I also want to give like a really big shout out, because the people that really like backed me when I started were Sandro Ferrante, who's a Kyokushin guy from Montreal, KRT Tips and Tricks, Marshall Way, and One Kyokushin. They those guys, and Shihan Terry from Real Talk 2, when I had him on, like, Terry was like telling me, like, he's like, don't ever let anyone tell you like you're obsessed. He's like, it's good that you're obsessed. He's like, because we need that in Kyokushin. You need that.
100%. Well, that's just the word we were using before, wasn't it? The adjective, obsession. You need that. You can't just go, get around going, just think to yourself, it's going to happen. You got to make it happen. And look at you, Drew. Yeah, good on you, man. You should actually do something with Terry and Scott.
It's in the works. I can confirm. We're working on it. It's just about the scheduling, but it's like you have to love what you do. Like, for example, if I was having a conversation with you, would you rather me like with how I am right now, like where we're engaged and we're flowing, or would you rather like, so like, it's like I get like a book here. I'm like, so Jude, can you just tell me about, like, no, you don't want that. You want the passion. You want the fire.
There's a TV commentator called Michael Ciafallo. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's on one championship. And his voice is amazing. They call him the voice. And when he speaks, he just gets you pumped up. He could be talking about making porridge and avocado for breakfast, and you'd be like, oh my God, I've got to go and make that right now. So he's what energy that he puts out, his enthusiasm is contagious. You want to, it spreads, yeah.
You got it. It spreads. It's like a disease, but a good disease. It spreads like a good disease.
That's it, true.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask you too. So this is this question, like, I had to put some thought into it, because this is what you're known for. You did the 100-man kumite. So you get your Yondan, And it's funny. It's a miracle. I remember there's Yondan, and because then after Yondan, it's Godan, but I always forget there's Yondan in between. So you got your Yondan. And what made you want to do the 100-man kumite to get that Godan? Like what was the motivations and the reason to do that?
Yes. So actually, so I had just won the 2010 WKO heavyweight tournament. And I was 39 years of age at that time, and it was the strongest I ever felt at any particular time. Stronger and fitter and faster than I had felt when I was in my 20s. I was very motivated. I didn't have any injuries, and I actually wanted to get more into. We're doing a fair bit of kickboxing as well at that particular time in Thailand. So I wanted to venture on into MMA or more kickboxing. I was just looking for something different. I just wanted to. I wanted to fight. I wanted to challenge myself. How it all came about was that my teacher at that time, Robert McGuinness, Robert McGuinness, he said, "Judd, why don't you do the 100-man kumite?" And first thing I said to him was, "No way. I don't want to do that," because I had been a part of it when Masaru Kida did his 100-man kumite in 1991. I had fought him 2 times, so I had seen with my own eyes about what this incredible event is about. He almost, he was a punching bag. At the end, he looked like he was just on the verge of death. What he put himself through was just insane. I've never seen anything like that. So, of course, when someone says, "Judd, why don't you do that?" my instant reaction is, "No, thank you. I cannot do it." And I was very realistic with myself. And I said, I don't want to do that. I wanted to do other things. Then the reason why this came about was because I spoke to my friend Anton about this. I said, "Oh, my teacher's Steve is putting pressure. He's asking me to do the 100-man kumite and such." And then he says, "Judd, why don't you do it? This will be something, that would be a great experience and something that, he actually believed that I could do it. He had faith in me. I didn't have faith in myself that I could do it. I was realistic." I said, "No." So I kept saying, no. But it wasn't until literally a couple of months later that my friend Anton their family had been through a hard time, and through everything else that was going on, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for my friends and my family. And I had this different feeling about this particular one, where I wanted to represent more people, represent my friends and family in doing this event. Where before it was more about the tournaments. No, it's just me. I didn't really think about anything else bar that. But this was a different feeling where I wanted to represent more people and show something that was, show that you can do something if you put your mind to it. So that's really how it came about, was just that, talking with my friends and talking with my family as well, and hearing that they had belief in me that I could do it. They gave me belief I could do it, because I didn't believe I could do it. I was realistic. I said, "No, I can't do it." But them saying to me, "Judd, you're the strongest I've ever seen you. You're fit, you're determined, you're driven." So hearing that message, and then once I got in my head, right, like, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. And that's when I committed myself 100%. So really it came through that way, through my friends and family telling me that I could do it. And then when they planted that seed in my head, I planted it more deeply in my head and say, right, I'm going to do it. And then I just dedicated myself to the training like that.
Yeah. And what I noticed too, so this is something that I wanted to ask you, because I've watched a documentary. This is like when I was before, like I had the podcast before, like I became the Drewsperience. But so you're going to have to correct me here if I get the wording wrong. So they show like about a lot, they'll show the first fights on air. They showed like fights, but then after that, they stopped showing it. What is the reason behind not showing the last remaining fights? Is it out of respect for you, or is it a Japanese tradition?
Oh, no. That's because that's the way the DVD's done, isn't it? It goes up. I mean, you must remember it's a documentary, so we're trying to hype it up and trying to make it into an interesting story. So I think what it showed was just the little bit was the last meet just then and there, fight number 99 in my corner, and look like I'm a mess, look like I'm about to faint. And you have Nicholas saying, one more. And you see me with sweat pouring down my head. I'm about to fall over. They're trying to keep me standing, and I'm really hanging in there. Bang! Stops there. Then it goes into my life in Thailand, going to my apartment and showing all the, about what I'm living in Thailand and my preparation. So the reason why behind that was really just to get everyone pumped and to say, right, this is where it was at. We know that he got there. Now let's go to what happened before that, his preparation and training in Thailand. So I think that was a nice way of doing it. it really was just making an interesting documentary. I'm very lucky to have that documentary. My best friend Anton Kafka, he produced it, he directed it, he did everything. He's everything behind that, and he's my dear friend. That he passed away. So I'm very fortunate to have that documentary. It's something that my son, I guess, will be around forever. Obviously, the Young Lions book and the Ronin Years is all because of Anton as well. We worked on both of those books before he passed away. So have that documentary that Anton did for me I hold that dear to my heart, and especially the books, which we weren't able to complete together, but I was able to, with Norm Schreiber, get the books over the line and produce these two books. And that's all because of Anton Kafka and Norm Schreiber that I have these books. And in a book, you go into a lot more details. And as a reader, you can start to imagine what you're talking about. You're using a lot of dialogue. You use a lot of adjectives, as they say, different adjectives to get you pumped up and create enthusiasm in the reader. To put all that out, I'm very lucky to have these things with me.
That's amazing. And how has it been? Because the Young Lions, the book was a success, the documentary was a success, and then the Ronin Years, when it came out, it was like, because when I tried getting you on the show last year, you're like, look, I'm launching the Ronin Years. Let's wait until it comes out. So what's the feedback been like, and how's the sales been for the Ronin Years?
No, and thank you, Drew, for bringing it up. The Ronin Years is doing really good. A lot of people have actually said that they prefer the Ronin Years over the Young Lions. And the way I think of it, the Young Lions is like it's documented history, so to speak. I just talk about it's almost like a history thing. This is what happened. This is what happened. But in the Ronin Years, it's more, I go in detail about my ups and downs as a human being. It talks about I discuss a lot about what's going through my head. I talk about the 100-man fight and my preparation, and it's over a 20-year period. So it's a lot more detail and a lot more stories involved, a lot of human stories, a lot of incredible happy adventures, but also a bit of sadness as well in the book. And just how I overcame that sadness, how I overcame something very tragic in my life that happened, and to bounce back from that and to make really good of after that, so to speak. I'm not going to say too much about that. So, and that's what we are as human beings. I think as a human, we all can relate to the Ronin Years, because we all have that fighter in us, but also along the way we have ups and downs, and how we deal with it is so important. And I think the Ronin Years shows you how I dealt with it and what I did. And I'm lucky to have that. And I feel that if it can inspire some people along the way, and they can draw something from that, and they can see themselves in that situation, and they want to do good from that, and be inspired and push on with life, I'm so happy that's possible to do that. So for me, the Ronin Years is much more personal, much more personal. And it's it was only out since last year, but it's doing really well. It's doing well. Thank you for asking.
No problem. Make sure to get a copy. Where is it available?
You can get it on Amazon as well. You can get it on Amazon, or you can buy it directly through me. It's on Amazon. It's on what do you call it? What's it called? Kindle. You can buy Amazon through direct, or you can get it through me on my website. Yeah.
Perfect. Make sure to get your copy if you really love martial arts and Kyokushin in general. It's like I'm giving ad reads while we do it. That's how we do it. It's how you do it. Once you get good at this, you figure out little ways to get a little side combo in there. Yeah, you gotta do it.
Awesome, man.
Thank you. So I want to ask you also. So here's something that not many people are you did something that's very bold. Okay, like it takes brass balls to do this. You went to Thailand to do Kyokushin, which is a Muay Thai hotbed. What was that experience like to run your dojo in Thailand? That's like, first of all, I'm being serious. This is an applaud, because it's known as Muay Thai, and you were the first one, from what I understand, to do a Kyokushin school in Thailand. That's amazing.
Okay, that's not exactly how it went down. Okay. But because you haven't read the Ronin Years, but I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
So I moved to Thailand in 2006, and I went there to get more involved in Muay Thai and kickboxing. I wanted to have some more fights there. I was told that when to go there, I was to go to a gym there run by his name is called Sifa Robert McGuinness, and he had his own martial arts there. It was called Sergi Dor. It's kind of like, it was like basically an MMA kind of style, which covered a lot of different things. So I was told to go there and train there, and that. He also had a very famous Muay Thai fighter called Sok Mong Kong, which is a Muay Thai legend. He had a lot of other great people around him, Nick Kara, Mutt, and other Thai trainers who were just absolutely amazing. So he had a world-class gym and incredible standard of fighters who trained there. So when I went there, when I arrived there and I was doing the Muay Thai as well, I thought, this is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. But when I was there, Sifu, he showed interest in what he knew. Obviously, he knew what Kyokushin Karate was about. So he wanted me to be more involved in his karate classes and start taking his classes and build up his younger kids to take them to Japan and fight, basically putting it like that. So he wanted me to bring something new to his style of fighting, to get a strong team, build up his strong youth, to take them to Japan to fight in the Kyokushin tournaments, because he had never been involved in that, but he wanted to go that direction. So I had a huge, I guess you could say I had a big influence on his way of teaching, and I changed his methods, I guess you could say, a little bit of what he was doing at that time. So it wasn't my school, it was his school. I was just an instructor there. It was a fantastic job. It was a great opportunity where I was able to train full time, learn new things, and build up these younger kids to be able to take them to fight to Japan. I talk about, there was a lot that happened during that time. I also worked with the Pettis SWAT anti-terrorism unit team as well, there for a number of years, which I'll talk about in the Ronin years. So for me, just to get up and go to leave Australia, then to be in Thailand, to start to take some of his classes and to build up his kids, to suddenly being involved in an anti-terrorism unit as well, which we did for 3 years, that was a whole other experience in itself. So that was I really go into detail about that particular time. So there is an Aussie guy, jumping off buildings for, abseiling down buildings and doing different scenarios that a policeman or a soldier in that particular unit would be practicing. We did all these different kind of things. To training in the afternoon, to training in the evening. It was all revolved around training, and that was such a different lifetime and different experience that, I even sometimes about that particular thing with working with the police, even me, I look at mate and go, that was pretty crazy. It was pretty nuts. Yeah.
You were James Bond. You could have been the second Australian James Bond, because there's
That's
George
it.
Lazenby. So you could have gone around say like they could have made like some Thai film with you as like the second Australian James Bond.
Well, it was just nuts. I was just actually thinking to myself, well, what is going on in this? How life is like so strange that way, that you don't know what's around the corner. Yeah, but like we said before, if you open opportunities for you and you put yourself out there, anything is possible to do. Yeah.
Oh, totally. It's totally true. So then recently you brought back your operations to Australia, and now you have Chikara Dojo in Australia. You're running tournaments. What's the day-to-day operations like now? Because now you have some fighters that are representing you, and these aren't just Australians. Like, you're telling me about one of them from Iran that I wanted to ask about. Like, one Kyokushin has been promoting this guy very hard. Now you have him under you. His name is Isan, yeah. What's that been like to what's it been like to get these international fighters coming to you?
Yeah, well, Isan, they contacted me from Iran, and we were in contact, and he sent me videos of himself fighting in some kickboxing fights over there. And the Iranians, as you know, they're such tough Kyokushin competitors. They're some of the strongest fighters in the world. The Iranians are. They really are. Just that they don't get sometimes the experience of traveling international, because sometimes it's difficult to travel. But I fought a number of Iranian fighters, and everyone knows that when you fight an Iranian fighter, you go on the war. They are tough, and they just train specifically just to compete in Kyokushin tournaments. So they contacted me, and he also had a few MMA fighters, and I'd known a little bit of them and looked into them. So they wanted to fight. They wanted to fight internationally. So I literally just set it up with them with the Senshin. Senshin kickboxing organization. And they said, yep, we'll accept him. He's a good kid. And he went over there and fought, and he did very well. Okay, he lost in the second round, but he showed, if you saw the video, he showed a lot of heart. He's a tough, tough boy. So he's got a big future in front of him. And maybe potentially, I'm actually not potentially, he will be fighting other events soon again. I actually have an event coming up in 10 days' time, March 26th, and it's a Chikara tournament. And what we're doing is that we're having a kids fight in the morning where they just have one matches, and then I make an evening event. And I try to make it a special, prestigious event where we actually have tables set around with food, and we make it into a bit of an event, a bit of a show. And then there are 8 fights in that night. Of these 8 fights, 3 of them are going to be kickboxing fights. But I'm not calling it kickboxing. I'm calling it Chikara full contact karate. But basically, it's kickboxing. So 3 of my students will be fighting 3 kickboxing fighters from another gym, and they come from a very good source, very good fighters, young lads. So that's going to be very interesting. So we're going to have 5 Kyokushin fights and 3 kickboxing fights. And it's basically going to be Kyokushin. I'm going to be promoting a little bit more this week versus kickboxing. And as we know, with in Japan, when they're Kyokushin versus kickboxing, the Kyokushin boys are just absolutely legends, and what they were able to do. Yeah, they gave it to the best. They stood up to the best in the world. And were able to win. Absolutely incredible. And it's not in their art, but in kickboxing art. So for me to be able to do this in Australia, to show this and to showcase our incredible young talent and incredible young spirited fighters, and to put it at the challenge. This is going to be a great night, and you're going to see that the spirit of these guys, but also the technical side skill of them is amazing as well. And it's going to be very exciting to see him, fight in this tournament in 10 days' time.
I love what I see coming out of Australia, and like Australia it's also, I think if you're in Quebec, Canada, it's a Kyokushin hotbed. If you're in Russia, Kyokushin hotbed. Japan, hotbed. Australia too has a lot of talent, such as like yourself, like with the guys that you have representing you. You have Shihan Cameron Quinn with some of his guys, such as Sensei Ben Ajaman, who will be coming on the show soon too. Sensei Patrick Pinto, who's also competed. Nazar Kassab, who was another one. Yeah, there's so much. There's so many guys coming up from down under, and of course Gary O'Neal, who Shihan constantly talks about how like his spinning wheel kick and the technique is so beautiful. So.
Beautiful. Well, Gary O'Neal is a karate genius. Mm-hmm. He's literally a karate absolute legend genius. And he was able to fight opponents 20, 30 kilos heavier and just, run rings around them and made them. And the bigger the opponent, the better he did. Gary was just absolutely incredible.
Some people have that threshold. They just love pushing the envelope. And when they see a challenge, it brings out their best. It doesn't matter. So that's why, he's a genius. And that's why he's like highly sought after. It's just too bad he's off the grid though. Cause like no one knows where he is. Yeah, he's off the grid.
I know where he is, but we actually had him at a camp 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I think it was, with Peter Graham, Gary, Shihan Cameron, and myself. We did a camp 2.5 years ago, and it was awesome. It was awesome to have them all there. But Gary's. Whenever we can get him and be a part of having at the camp is a huge blessing, I guess you can say, because he's amazing. He's just incredible. He's just incredible.
And there's also another guy too because I used to call myself, because before I joined my organization, when I came back, I was calling myself a nomad. And then Nicholas was like, he's like, you think you're a nomad? Nick's like, you should look at Wally Wally.
Oh yeah,
real nomad. Wally Schnaubelt was like, go to IKO1. Go into another organization to fight their top guy, then come back, and like no one would say anything to him. Like that's another legend. That's
Walter Schnaubelt was absolutely a legend. He is a 5 or 6-time Australian heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. He lived with us numerous times during the Ushideshi time. Strong man, tough, and like you said, he literally traveled the world. And he went to Russia to fight. He went to Brazil to fight. He went to Europe. He went everywhere, and he would spend time at these dojos, and they loved Wally. Such a lovely man, such a spirited fighter. But he literally traveled the world and to fight and to live and breathe karate. Incredible. He fought Sam Greco at the Singaporean tournament, 1992, I think it was, and beat Sam Greco in the final. It just shows you that totally world class, incredible athlete, incredible spirit of fighter. And now he's a politician in Papua New Guinea. You know, I don't hear much of him, but I know he's very much involved in the politics in Papua New Guinea. He's probably going to end up being a prime minister one day. I bet you he does. Well, his uncle was. His uncle was a prime minister of Papua New Guinea 30 years ago, the very famous, I've forgotten his name. He was a prime minister for 25 years. So this is in his blood. This is in his family. He knows all about this. So he's a warrior. And I'm sure they love him there. I'm sure that the Papua New Guineans absolutely love him there.
They love it. They love it. You know, so says Shihan, Jude, you know, I know you're tight for time. So the last question is, what is the goal for 2022 and beyond now that we're somewhat coming out of this?
Nice question, Drew. I love that question because you know what? Like we're saying, it's about what we're doing now.
Yes.
And we've got to keep busy. And so for me, I'm just like, right, we've got to do we've got to do tournaments, we've got to do camps, we've got to do seminars, we've got to build up the student base. That's it. I'm very lucky to have a full-time dojo here where on these schools, it's a nice family area. So me now, it's about building up numbers and building up a stronger youth, stronger for the future. For me, it's all about that. Putting on prestigious tournaments so people know about Kyokushin Karate, or now we're getting involved with kickboxing as well, and just getting the name out there even more. Having camps where we can all get together and train together, learn from each other. Awesome. For me, it's all just like that. Now, foot to the metal and just go. We're making up for lost time. We've got to get busy.
Exactly. Well, look, I mean, I got to ask my Shihan, but if you're ever in Canada, especially in Quebec, let's just say you come down, and if you ever want to come to my dojo, I can definitely set that up with Shihan Pierre. I'll talk to him about it. But he knows about you, and he says speaks very high regards about you. So yeah, so like the more that we get the great minds together for seminars and for camps, it's just going to help grow the art that Sosai wanted, because we need to do a better job of look, I love to see what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does. They're the global art, but so are we. We have to do our job to raise the bar in any way possible.
Good on you, Drew. That's exactly it. Well done, mate. Well done, Drew. Now, 100%. Please pass my best regards on to your teacher, to your Shihan. But exactly what you just said then. That's awesome, mate. Good message.
Thank you.
Good message.
So Shihan, Jude, where can people connect with you if they want to like just talk Kyokushin or whatnot?
Yeah. So I just have my social media pages. You know, I'm on Instagram as well. On YouTube, I have a YouTube channel called Judd Reid Shikata.
Okay.
I can't answer on that one. I don't know how to, anyway, how it's set up there. But yeah, I have those things set up, those social media sites set up. I'm easy to contact. You can shoot me a message some way or another. I'm just Judd, man. I'm just here in Melbourne. Anyone who's in Melbourne, you're welcome to come to my dojo. And Drew, yourself, come to Australia.
Thank you. I will
hang out with sometime.
Listen, the plan is, okay, so this is the plan, okay? I'm going to tell you what it is, okay? The plan is in the next year or so, because now I get like 3 weeks vacation where I work, yay, and I get a day at it every year. So the goal is to do Europe first, because I owe Wesley and Darren a visit of KRT, so I got to visit them first. Then I want to do Australia, because I'll come to you. I'd love to do training with you. I want to meet the man himself, Shihan Cameron, Sensei Pat, because I know Pat and you are in the same city, so that's great. And yeah, that's the plan. You know,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, gotta grow the show. This is for the long term. It's not a niche. We grow the community. It's the show that's 80% combat sports and 20% everything else.
Awesome, Drew. That's the spirit, mate. No, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You got me all pumped up. I'm just about to start a class now. So with that note, you got me all pumped up, Drew. And thank you. It was great to talk to you, my man.
You too. I'm glad we could do this. It was a huge honor to do it, a huge privilege. A lot of people have been waiting for this episode for a long time. So I'm glad we could do it. I loved doing it with you. And if you ever want to come on again, doors always open.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Thank you for your time, and thank you for making this happen. Awesome, mate.